This is the Good Neighbor Podcast, the place where local businesses and neighbors come together. Here's your host, Brandon Andrus Green.
Welcome to the Good Neighbor Podcast Live. Getting sober is one thing. Learning how to build a normal life again after treatment can be a completely different challenge. Today we're talking with Phillip Brotherton, founder of House 2517, a sober living home designed to help men bridge the gap between long-term recovery programs and everyday life. Phillip, welcome. How's it going?
It's good. Thanks for having me, Brandon. It's great to be here.
Thanks, Spencer. How did you get involved with this in the first place?
Well, I'm over 10 years in my recovery myself.
Nice.
I was deep in addiction for 20 plus years. Went through Adult and Teen Challenge of Oklahoma, Sunrise Ranch, graduated 2017 there, and it just kind of started that trajectory for me.
And so can you tell me a little bit about what House 2517 is and what it does?
Yeah. So first off, House 2517, it is, the name comes from is 2 Corinthians 5:17. If any man is a new creation, the old has passed away and there's a new. So that's what, every man, after they've been through what they've been through and, through their long-term recovery program, come in, we're new guys. We're new at everything, because most of us don't know how to live a sober life or the things that we need to do to stay sober. We've gotten the tools in the long-term recovery program, but now it's time to take those tools and to put them into practice.
And what do you think is the hardest part about the transition after somebody's already done the hard work of long-term recovery program?
Financial obligation is one of the biggest things. Families are very skeptical too, because, I tell guys all the time, I'm like, look at long con. I was like, look how long you were in addiction, and then, yeah, you did this recovery program. It's great. You got the basics, but you were in a bubble. You know what I mean? Usually a very structured program, a very, regimented program. And you had people telling you what to do, and guiding you what to do. And then there was a safety net if you failed there and consequences. Well, now it's like pushing the baby bird out of the nest and like, okay, at House 2517, it's like we have, monthly rent and things of that nature. And they have a job and they have all these things. They're still going to meetings. But it's putting all those things they've learned into practice. And now it's like the real work starts after your program. Then your family's going to really start trusting you more once you put in some time and get time under your belt. That's all you can do.
And what would you say House 2517 is doing different other than just providing someone a place to stay?
Well, I'm heavily involved. I meet with the guys once a week. They have 2 outside meetings they're required to do a week. They go to church. They do, volunteer work. The normal things that people in recovery do. I have a list of what, where they're at and what they're doing and what they're supposed to be doing. It's still it's not as heavily monitored, but it's still checks and balances, making sure people are where they're supposed to be, drug tests. Anybody that lives at the house is, can be drug tested at any time. They're drug tested before they even come in. That's one of the first things we do before we sign any paperwork.
And what happens if they test positive?
Well, there, especially if it's when they first come in, it's, it's a conversation and depending on how honest they are. Because that's a big key. Do you need to? Are you ready for this next step? Are you ready for Because I've had some to ask some people to leave already. I mean, we've only been at this a little over a year since the doors have been open. I've had to ask some people to leave for different reasons. I've had some failures, and just because you fail a drug test doesn't mean you're getting kicked out. There, you know what I mean? Honesty and openness and willingness and remorse, all of those things, because you're going to fail. People are going to fail. It happens. but it's what you do when you fail. And after that, and moving forward, you're not going to get it. Nobody's perfect. Nobody's going to get it right every single time.
And how many guys are you guys? How many men are you guys equipped to help?
So it's just it's 6 beds, nothing crazy. It's just a normal family size home, 3-bedroom, 2-bath. Everybody has a roommate. So.
And are these mostly court ordered, or how are these men finding you guys in the first place?
So I get referrals from Hope Center Ministries here in Tulsa, John 3:16. Of course, me being a Adult and Teen Challenge alumni, I get referrals from them. Most of the men come from the Hope Center Ministries here in Tulsa because I also volunteer there. Mentoring guys and whatnot, and all the guys that are in House 2517. One of their requirements is to mentor a guy 1 hour a week to give back, because it's all these things that they're doing that I look at my life and kind of just like, well, what's kept me? And it's doing a lot of these same things consistently over the last decade that's put me in the position where I'm at, of owning a small business and being able to be in a position to open a sober living home.
Well, let's say for families watching someone they love come out of treatment, what is that, let's say, helpful support, and what can accidentally make recovery harder?
So, enabling, we love our children. I have 2 children myself. I love my children to death. But if we don't give them the right support and structure, it can be more detrimental. When guys are coming out of these long-term recovery programs and they're like, well, I'm going to move back home. Well, why are you moving back home? Is my first question. Is it because it's comfortable and safe? Is it because, do you have a support system there? Why are you leaving this, more or less, why are you leaving the support system here? Because usually at home or where places they're familiar, that's where they get all their drugs, did all the things, and all, they need to change those places and those playgrounds, and they've spent a year building something here. Why leave? You know what I mean? Just because you think this is what you need to do. You've done that. You did that for however long you did that. And the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. So let's try something. Let's try something totally different and see how it works for a while.
And how are you guys able to fund all of this?
So I'm self-funded. I have another business. I have another business. My wife and I have a lawn and landscaping business, and when we got married, that was my personal property, and I had renters in it, and then God really laid it on my heart this was the next step, because I was mentoring at the Hope Center, and the sober living house is very very close to that, and where we go to church is very close to that as well, and so it just kind of all fell into alignment, and and I just knew that's where I needed to go with this.
So are you having to pay out of pocket, or do you guys have donors, or are you able to get funding?
Yeah, so we're a for-profit. We're not a nonprofit, per se, because I wanted to show proof of concept and make sure, everything was gonna work, because if all else fails and I fall on my face and nothing works out, I have a house to sell, but trusting in God and trusting in what I know and things of that nature. I just had this piece about it that it wasn't gonna fail, and that this was a needed thing because I'd seen it so much, and that, so the next step would be to file for being a nonprofit. And then, because I tell people up front, I'm not a nonprofit, and some people, they're like, I don't care. Here's $100. Go get some things for the guys here. You know what I mean? Things of that nature. They, a lot of people that know me personally know the heart behind it. And so, they're like, well, I'm going to donate money anyway. I'd rather give it to you and then just and I know it's going to go somewhere good and do something. I don't care about the tax break because it's not like it's life-changing money or anything like that. But I do want to get to a point where I can offer that, and because I think it's good, and I'd like to see it grow, so.
Well, if someone, let's say, has a loved one who may be a fit, maybe there's a listener that wants to support the work or simply wants to learn more, where should they go?
Yeah, so I recently, within the last week, just launched a website. You can go to house2517.com, and you can email me there at phillip@house2517.com. That's PHILLIP @house2517.com. That's how you get a hold of me. And then all the information you need is on the website, from application to phone numbers, anything that you need.
And before we finish up, what's one thing you want someone to maybe in their early recovery stages to hear today?
One thing I'd want them to is keep at it. You're going to have rough days. It's going to be tough, but you're going to be successful if you keep using the tools that you learned in long-term recovery and you keep seeking Jesus. That's what it is. It's all really a relationship with Jesus Christ and everything that we've done for me and for people that come out of long-term recovery programs like Hope Center Ministries, Adult and Teen Challenge of Oklahoma, John 3:16. They're all Christ-centered, and that's the reason it's working.
Phillip, I appreciate you being here. It's an impactful story, and I wish you and House 2517 the best moving forward.
Thank you, Brandon. Thanks for having me.
Thank you for listening to the Good Neighbor Podcast. To nominate your favorite local businesses to be featured on the show, go to gnptulsa.com. That's gnptulsa.com, or call 918-301-6356.